Hey guys, hope you're doing well. I just wanted to let you know me and Anthony were planning on doing a call where we spoke about our favourite albums and favourite bands and bands that have influenced us really. So it's not really like planned out at all. We just wanted to have a chat. So if it seems a little bit off the cuff, that's why, because it is. So hope you guys enjoy it, and hopefully we'll get more used to doing kind of videos like this. But yeah, let us know what you think, and we'll see you again soon. What do you want to talk about?
Well, you had the idea for a couple of topics. I'm happy to go along with any of them. I'm sure I can give my insights.
All right. Okay. Well, how about? Right. Tell me the main album that's had an influence on you.
That's a hard question
Aye.
because there are so many. First, well, I can start from the start. The first album I ever got was bought for me that I remember having a massive impact was actually Hybrid Theory.
That was actually on my list of favourite albums. And I know that a lot of people might disagree with that, but it is banger after banger. There's so many strong songs in the album.
I tell a lie. The first album I got ever bought for me, and I'm kind of throwing our mum and dad in the shit here, was the Marshall Mathers LP.
I was thinking you were going to say that.
I've just remembered that. I'm like, Linkin Park, quite edgy at the time. No, it was Eminem.
Aye. I was going to say, people are wondering, I don't hear any of that influence in his music.
No. But yes, let's just put that online for everybody to hear. Mother and father bought me an Eminem album when I was 7. Might have still been 6 at the time.
Horrible parenting.
Yes, top-notch parenting.
I was going to say...
we didn't turn out too bad.
No, well, debatable. But I would say that I think most of my influences came from what you listened to, compared to you didn't have an older brother to get things handed into you. Your influence was directly from mum and dad, whereas I had you to kind of channel what I listened to in a way, if that makes sense.
Aye, and I think that says a lot about the fact that you've kind of taken a lot of kind of like my base influences, and you've kind of ran off in another direction with them.
Yeah,
which is a good thing, because it then means it kind of feeds back into itself. It's you end up telling me like, oh, give that a listen.
That was like the other day when I was talking to you about Mars Volta albums, and the only reason I ever listened to the Mars Volta was because you had Francis the Mute.
I know. I had that album and never really listened to it.
Aye, and I
think it kind of got gifted to you, essentially.
A wee bit. I just listened.
The reason, and there again, sorry to interrupt there, it kind of ties in to the reason that I had a Mars Volta album is because I knew that John Frusciante was mates with the Mars Volta.
Yep. I don't know. It's just that was like an album like nothing else I've ever heard.
What, Francis the Mute?
Yeah, it was alright. A little bit pretentious, I've got to say. Like, it's not. I don't typically listen to like prog kind of stuff. But when I did hear it though, it did like open my mind. I was like, I never knew you could make sounds like that on guitars.
That's, to be honest, that's where, funny you should say that. See, pretty much all of my main like big moments, it's things where I've heard that and I'm like, oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
Like the intro to Blood Sugar Sex Magic, for whatever reason, you listen to it and it sounds like a normal guitar riff, but for whatever reason it just
it clicked with you.
Something caught me. And it kind of that kind of has been a defining feature of things that have been unique, or that I've thought sounded unique.
Yep. I mean, speaking of the last video as well, I mean, they've been one of your biggest influences ever, and I only started listening to them through you, and yet because of that, like, there's lots of songs that you would never look twice at, like Warm Tape. You never really thought much of that before. But then it ended up becoming one of my favourite songs of theirs, and you're like, maybe I'll need to revisit this one and things like that.
That's been a good thing, because there's been like, obviously I've loved the album, by the way, and then it's maybe been like an underdog track or something. Do you know what I think it is? I think that song, Warm Tape, on that album comes right after Minor Thing, and I think it's one of those things that I like. Minor Thing, funny enough, there's a guitar solo in Minor Thing, and I know you know exactly what bit on the guitar I'm talking about, where it hits that high bend halfway through the verse, and that's another one of those ones that was like, oh my god.
Aye, definitely.
I'm talking about the part in Minor Thing, and our viewers are going to think that we're nuts. The bit that goes do 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 do. The guitar, it's doesn't matter how easy it is to play, it sounds good. It's an easy guitar line, just a few notes, but it's like it slices it into the mix, and it's even things like that, like where it's placed in the song and how it's placed in the song can like catch your ear.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've noticed in the last few years. I've gone from not really focusing on like mixes to being really quite obsessive about it, because it can make or break a song.
It can. Like, you can take like any of our songs like before they're mixed, and I'm listening to it and I'm like, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
And sometimes all it takes is a bit of mixing, and we were talking about this the other day about how like you can take like the guitar tracks of popular albums and you isolate them, and they actually sound not bad, but they sound sloppy.
Yeah.
Sometimes outside the mix.
That's the thing. That's another thing. Again, calling back to John Frusciante, but you hear his tracks isolated and you're like, that sounds terrible. But when you hear it in the context of the song, it just works for whatever reason.
Yeah.
You
notice it a lot on the Blood Sugar takes, because as far as I'm aware, being a guitar geek, a lot of his sound on that album, apart from maybe not the distorted stuff, but a lot of his sound was just plugging the guitar right into the console, so he wasn't even amping it up, and that's why it sounds, and I'm sure it was on purpose, but a lot of it sounds quite sterile and thin.
Yeah.
But it works.
Aye, definitely. Aye, so tell me about your stance on Radiohead now. Because we've had some differences of opinion there, I think.
We have, because wee bit of background here, and I'm gonna go off on a tangent. When I was younger, I had a paper round like a lot of young boys do. I would get my money on a Saturday, and every Saturday I would go into the town and I would buy 2 albums with my paper round money. And just I'm sure you remember as well, I had a book that it was like 50 years of great albums, and I would literally just go through the book and buy albums, and that's where a lot of my, obviously mum and dad and Auntie Jean and Auntie Ali and all that, that's where a lot of my music taste came from. But that album was like the Bible.
Yeah.
And I would just go and buy an album, and if I didn't like it, big deal, but most of them I did like anyway.
Yeah.
OK Computer was one of those albums, and I was like, Radiohead, I've heard of them, I'll get that bought. And it took me years. I think it was maybe a case of being too young to get it.
I get that, yeah.
Like when I probably bought it when I was 13, and at 13 I'm looking for a chorus that's going to be like,
yeah.
And obviously that was never to be found on OK Computer. I mean, some songs have good choruses actually. Let Down is amazing.
Aye.
And actually, is it Climbing Up the Walls? That's got an amazing chorus as well. Anyway, a lot of them have got good choruses, but they're not exactly. They're not Oasis. It's not going to have everybody in a stadium.
No, they've not got your typical hooks. Aye,
exactly. And I think you actually bought your own copy of OK Computer.
The amount of times I've bought the same album that you already have and just not realised.
There's like 2 or 3 copies of OK Computer in our mum and dad's house.
Yep.
One of them's mine. Anyway. And yeah, it took until you started getting into Radiohead for me to revisit them. And then I did that thing that I do with everybody. It's like I take the band that they're into and I like go like extreme on the band. Like I did it with Alistair with Queen. I did it with Auntie Ali with Simon and Garfunkel. I did it with Auntie Jean with Red Hot Chili Peppers. It was like I steal people's influences, and it's like I feel like I stole Radiohead off you because I got like mega into them, and you, as far as I'm aware, you like Radiohead.
I do.
You like them a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest. I listened to like the first 3 albums more than anything else. Kiddie, it was and still kind of is a little bit too experimental for my liking. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll listen to any experimental album, but I can't just put Kiddie on and just sit back and enjoy it. I just can't get through it as easily as that.
It is a tough listen, but it's like, I think a lot of the time with tough listens, I almost start to see them as a challenge.
Yeah.
And like, right, I need to find out why this is revered. And I need to get it for myself. And that happened with Kiddie. I love Kiddie now. Kiddie is one of my favourites. And I even like Amnesiac.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. See, Amnesiac and Kiddie, they're on a kind of similar level to me.
Well, they were recorded at the same time, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, but they've got quite different, like Amnesiac, as far as I remember, is definitely not as electronic as Kiddie is.
No, it's not.
And I don't know, I've never really clicked with those 2 albums. I really like In Rainbows, and that's only been since you said that it was like really good, and I gave it another chance. And with, I guess, slightly older ears, I just kind of picked up on things that I didn't really appreciate as much before.
Absolutely. Well, I agree. I think In Rainbows is the the most pleasant Radiohead album to listen to, including OK Computer.
Yeah.
I think In Rainbows is actually a nicer album to listen to.
Yeah. I mean, it's got later moments, that's for sure.
Aye. Yeah, exactly. They're a wee bit older, maybe slightly less angsty when they were writing it. It's like they're not fighting with their audience. You know, sometimes I think it is like really, and I mean this as a compliment to them. Like, I think a lot of the time it's like they were challenging what they were putting out for people, and I think In Rainbows is the closest that they've ever come to being like, you know what, just here you go, just enjoy these nice songs.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny because like I say that's one of their kind of albums with like lighter moments on it, and yet I prefer the darkest parts of that album. The darkest parts of that album are
Videotape's probably my favourite song on it.
Videotape's really good. I actually really like All I Need.
I was just going to say that's another one of my favourites.
I mean, it's my kind of thing. It's like a very dark, synthy kind of tone.
Yes, especially when it builds at the end, and it's like there's all the dissonant piano hitting at the end. I love that, and it was funny because it's one that I actually, even loving the album, I had to go back and revisit that song because I think I'd kind of not skipped it, but it was, again, Weird Fishes comes right before it, and that's one of my favourites. I say, to be honest, with that album, they're all one of my favourites. Like, Nude's an amazing song.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Nude reminds me of Skins because it was in the second series, or it was in the. I'm sure it was like the menu on the DVD when we used to buy DVDs. The menu song for when you were clicking what episode you wanted to watch was Nude.
Yeah, it's funny you're saying that because I'm just. It's so weird now. You're talking about buying all these albums, and yet I've not bought an album in over a year now because I never thought I would, but I've gone all digital. But it's so easy to be able to just say, oh, you should check this album out. And I was like, alright, no problem. Type it in, there you go.
It is easy. See, I still buy albums.
I do on occasion.
I think it's maybe because it reminds me of a bygone era.
Yeah.
And I love like opening up a new album, like putting the CD in the car.
Yeah. I mean, if an album really resonates with me, I'll probably buy it, but it's been over a year since I bought one. That might be something to do with COVID, but it might be a bit vanilla, but I'm still a sucker for OK Computer. I don't know.
It's not bad. It's no bad thing.
No, it's
a great album.
It's revered for a reason. It's like their first album. Even I think they'll discredit their first album. It's not as good as it could be. It's very middle of the road.
Yes.
Their second album, The Bends, it's much better. A lot more pensive in a way. But again, still very.
Funnily enough, I've never actually listened to The Bends.
No.
Not really. I know some of the songs from it, but from what I've heard, it's like not so much as. Oh my God, what's the first album called?
Pablo Honey.
Aye, not so much as Pablo Honey, but I've even heard that The Bends, to a certain degree, is like almost like a victim of its time.
I would say a bit. No. It's certainly not timeless, and it seems very bogged down by the formulaic kind of bass, drums, guitar setup. Like musically, there's some good ones. Like one of my favourites is Street Spirit. That
is a good song.
That is a really good song. But there's other ones like that I just never really like that much. Like I think you like this song, but I don't particularly like Just.
It's one of those songs that's like, you know it even if you don't know Radiohead.
Yeah, that's one of the first ones that I heard of them.
A lot of people get on their high horse with regards to the singles. It's like that's Radiohead light.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely Radiohead is definitely one of our biggest influences, I think, for each of us. I think we've definitely got a lot to thank Radiohead for their influences.
Absolutely.
I think we should follow this up at some point, but I know you need to get your dinner.
Yes, it's dinner time. But yes, it's been good to shoot the breeze.
Definitely. Aye, well, thank you for watching. I suppose we might or we might not post this yet, but thank you for watching, and we'll see you again really soon. Right, take care.